Bonjour mes amis, hi guys. You would be forgiven to believe that Hong Kong Central is only about high street watch retail, but let me take you on a guided tour and show you that you can actually find vintage, pre-owned and even independent brands. Starting our journey on Queen's Road Central, we find Emperor Watches. It is one of those multi-brand watch stores. You can find them all around town. A big space is of course devoted to a Rolex and Tudor at the front, but all the watches are there for display only. It's been the case for 2-3 years, and you would have to know the staff, have a large amount of spending to get any sports model. Same issue with the Patek shops. None of them are owned, of course, by the brands, even if it's a standalone Patek or Rolex shop. Standalone but owned by Breitling, of course, is their beautiful lounge a bit further down the road. If you have a bit of patience, you can find probably those watches in one of the multi-brand stores a few months later and negotiate a discount from 15 to 30%. Chow Tai Fook is there in Central as well, more like a little museum for Rolex at the moment. My favorite is Oriental Watch, a beautiful two-story shop which beyond Rolex and Tudor carries Parmigiani, Ulysse Nardin, Gio, GP, Zenith, Grand Seiko and even independents like Moser. In Hong Kong, you will want to stick to one of those shops and one particular member of the staff to hopefully get what you want. But they won't even sell you the Rolex sports models that are trading at or below retail, like this Explorer 1. No problem, across the street you can find a better deal. Omega, right next door, just opened a brand new beautiful flagship store apparently. And right next to it you have Eldorado, where people I know have been lucky enough to get the Patek sports models that they wanted. Always display models, nice ones actually, in the window. Around that street you will find other nice flagship stores, for example Frank Muller. H. Moser as well has opened their own flagship on the main corner right next to Longines, and Breguet has finally taken the corner space there. The situation is quite fluid with those group brands, and they come and go at those flagship locations. Anyway, let's cross one of the famous footbridges and go to the IFC Mall, which is where you would arrive if you take the famous 24-minute Airport Express from the airport. In this mall, only main brands like Tudor, Jaeger-LeCoultre, Hublot, IWC, Omega, Montblanc as well is right there in the same corner. And across from those shops you can find Longines, which seems to be very popular with mainland China travelers. Swatch store is there as well, so you might be lucky and find that collab with Blancpain or Omega that you wanted. Another beautiful Patek store, which is not owned by Patek, of course. It is owned by one of the Hong Kong watch groups. The models in the window, some of them like this one, the annual calendar, are available at or under retail actually from dealers, but you can't actually buy them from this authorized dealer. They probably want to package it with something else. Audemars Piguet has two of their own boutiques, one here, one on Queen's Road, and this Rolex store owned by Dixon's is more of a museum. Chopard right next to it has a funny sign saying that the watches are for display only. I suppose it's a bit easier to get those. Tag Heuer finally also in IFC Mall. Let's step outside and look at something a bit more interesting now when we go to a central tower, which is accessed by this elevator. From Queen's Road, we find the lavish attic specialized in independent watches. Very cool brands like Resence or Herwerk, but in general they don't have much stock there. You have to be a bit more patient. For example, if you want to get one of those tri-lobe, it's possible perhaps. But in general, for independents, I will recommend you to get in touch with the independent watcher. Benjamin can take care of you. Whether it's a brand that he carries or another one, he can probably source it for you, but do get in touch in advance. And he doesn't have an actual shop. So you would have to take an appointment, and he's just 10 minutes away from the landmark, which is right here. Beautiful gallery, high-end retail, but within it you will find the consignment business of Austin Shoe, more geared towards super high-end pieces like this Patek Philippe. And why not? Maybe you can consign your own watch. It's beautiful displays. You can turn them with the wave of the hand. And for example, I found this beautiful platinum Vacheron Constantin chronomètre Royal that is wrist check. The staff is good fun to chat with, and it's a growing business here in Hong Kong, also organizing all sorts of events. Back down in the gallery, we found a bit more of retail. Dixon Watch is a multi-brand AD. Same thing with the Rolex display, for now only for display, and another empty Patek Philippe authorized dealer. Moving further, we go towards Prince's building, which is our final look at retail shops. Not really interesting, but maybe worth a look. You have Vacheron Constantin and the other Richemont brands like Jaeger-LeCoultre, of course, and across from it along Unzone. These shops tend to move around quite quickly, so maybe in a year they'll be somewhere else. FP Journe also has its only boutique over there. Nothing for sale in the shop, I'm afraid, and Panerai has a location in Princess Building as well, right next to Van Cleef & Arpels, and a big shop of Cartier, lots of watches there, as well as their service center, and across from that shop, Bulgari. Now, let's dig into the vintage shops, right in Central, the vintage concept, right off Queen's Road at the bottom of Lan Kwai Fong, very well-known shop. It is well respected, but when it comes to vintage, you have to do your own homework and inspect everything with a loupe, of course. They also have some more modern pieces, but the bulk of it is vintage and neo-vintage Rolex. Now, if we go a bit further down Queen's Road at the bottom of Pottinger Street, climb those steps and you'll be surprised to find another vintage dealer in this little hut. I advise you to go around midday to make sure it is open. Don't expect a bargain. The gentleman there is very well known and knows what he is selling, but he is of good advice and can even help you maybe repair a bracelet on the go if you have any sort of trouble during your journey. And I found, for example, this very nice vintage Speedmaster. He will point you at the bracelet codes and you can make sure that you're making a decent purchase. Now, if you keep going up the steps of Pottinger Street, you will arrive at Weddington Street. On the right side, you see Lyndhurst Terrace, where you find next to Bremont the classic watch repair lounge, where you can bring, of course, a watch for a quick check or more in-depth repair. Michael Young is the bracelet magician. That's what he's known for. He can also restore a dial, but they also sell some really fine vintage pieces. And yeah, Michael is quite knowledgeable. GMT Master 2, Rolex, Submariners, but also a few other brands. Now, on the other side of Wellington Street, Mr. Chrono is where I buy my straps, watch winders, boxes, and Mark there is always good fun to chat to, and it's a bit of a hangout for watch guys. A few doors down, Crown Hour is just a little retail space for more affordable brands. But across from that, in a Lucky building, you will find Ivan Watches, another well-known, mainly Rolex-oriented vintage store. So do check them out on Instagram, on their website before you visit maybe. But you can always find some gems, Daytonas, GMT Master 2, and of course Mariners. Now back on Queen's Road, beyond the big tower called the Center and Frites, my favorite Belgian restaurant, you might also want to sample some of the local cuisine and get lost in the little market streets. On a Winkert Street, number 6, you will want to try going up to the 10th floor, where you find another vintage store called Bern Horology. Maybe not super high-end, but quite a few Rolex and other brands, some quirky models, neo-vintage watches, so you might find what you're looking for over there. Unusual brands, and maybe a Vacheron Constantin or a Chopard are waiting for you. This is their Instagram handle, Bern Horology, back on the streets. I hope you're enjoying this tour with me across from a Don Don Donki, Japanese mega store where you can have some Japanese food, city chain where you can buy your Japanese watches, Citizen, Seiko, Grand Seiko, but also Zin, Oris. I tend to go to that shop quite a bit. Now, second-hand shops across from Oriental Watches. I found this little store in a gallery that not many people know about, and although the selection is quite small, they actually do have some interesting Rolex watches at some pretty good prices. So you will want to check, of course, the condition, if this box paper or not. I think for the modern ones you will want to have the papers. For the neo vintage, not necessarily. And yes, of course, you can always bargain. Every dealer will expect it. I found, for example, at around the retail, the previous Bluesy, also the Milgauss, quite a few watches that I'm interested in. So do visit them. It's just there on Queen's Road. Pretty easy to find. Brandoff is a Japanese concept luxury reseller. Maybe you can find a couple of watches there as well. They're around town. My favorite dealer is probably on Jubilee Street. It is Ken Watches. They have 4 locations in town. This is my favorite one. I like to chat with Alex. Fair prices, and also of I think good advice and a good reputation overall. The website is updated twice a week, and you can click on one of the watches and see which of their 4 locations the watch is currently residing at. Now, of course, a tour of the Hong Kong pre-owned wouldn't be complete if I didn't mention on Duddle Street, which is right where we started this whole journey, across from the landmark Mandarin. You will find there the Watchbox Lounge. So do drop maybe a message to Josh before you go. Make sure he can welcome you. And maybe you will find there your high-end luxury pre-owned watch that you were looking for. So there you go, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this tour with me. Local guys, if you have other good addresses, please put them in the comments. And everyone, hope you will enjoy your visit of Hong Kong Central. Bye bye, guys.